Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to another edition of Zack's Movie Reviews. This is just my regular movie reviews. I just decided to change the name of them. Instead of just them being, blank movie review, I decided to just give it a little more character, just Zack's Movie Reviews. I just feel like that just gives it a little more of an identity and not just, some generic film review. So, yeah. Really quick, I just want to say, well, first of all, really quick, I'll just say that this is just going to be like a podcast-like video, so don't expect anything to happen in the background. There's just going to be me talking, so if you're working on something or whatever, then I guess, this is just a podcast video, so don't expect anything to happen. But another thing I want to say, I am not a movie critic at all. Sure, almost all of my videos are reviews, but I'm by no means a movie critic. These are just my general thoughts on the movie. If it's like a bad movie, because, by the way, I'm reviewing Sonic the Hedgehog today, if it's like a movie that I think is bad, maybe I missed the point in like some scenes, I don't know, but just know I'm not a movie critic, and I'm not going out of my way to make any movie look bad. These are just my general thoughts, so, yeah. So, yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, what did I think? Before I talk about the movie, I feel like I should talk about my history with Sonic. So, when I was a kid, my favorite thing ever was Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog was great for me, because I remember, when I was a kid, for some reason I liked chewing on rubber. I was a weird kid, I know. But we had a Wii, and I chewed up the Wii nunchuck, because, like, the joystick had, like, or analog, whatever, it had, like, rubber at the end. So, like, you could, like, grip it better. And of course, I chewed that. Again, I was a weird kid. So I chewed that completely, so it was just gone. And I didn't want to get in trouble. So I had a GameCube. And I decided, okay, I'll just, play some GameCube games, whatever. And sure enough, I'm just looking around to see what we had for GameCube games. I was only able to find one. And that, of course, was Sonic Adventure DX. And I picked it up, and I thought, this is going to be stupid. This is going to be so stupid. And sure enough, I popped it in my GameCube, and I absolutely loved it. That game was so fun. I played it to hell and back. I absolutely loved that game. And then, of course, that's what introduced me to the Sonic franchise. I got to know characters like Tails, Knuckles, Eggman, or Robotnik, whatever you call him. I might call him Eggman, I might call him Robotnik, like, both at once, like in, because half of me wants to call him Robotnik, but the other half wants to call him Eggman. So, yeah, I might go back and forth between that, but, yeah. Yeah, so of course, then I started to play other games, like Shadow the Hedgehog. That was my second Sonic game, which I didn't like at all. And then I started to get, more and more into the franchise, and then yeah, that's when I really liked Sonic. I feel like my highest, in terms of, like, my Sonic fandom would be, like, from like 2011 with Sonic Generations all the way to 2013, because around 2014 I slowly started to lose interest, mainly because Sonic Boom had just come out, and in 2015 they announced that, the next Sonic game was going to be a Sonic Boom game, which I was still just, ew. So, yeah. And then, after that I said, I'll give Sega one more chance. If their next game is bad, then, I guess I'm just done with Sonic. And then, sure enough, 2016, they announced Sonic Mania. And Sonic Mania is actually one of my favorite Sonic games ever. I don't love it as much as Sonic 3, because Sonic 3, I think, is my favorite video game of all time, period. But Sonic Mania is still a really good game. So, yeah. Anyway, now for the movie. I remember hearing about this movie back in 2012, 2013, and a little part of me thought, like, whatever. I didn't care because, I thought this was going to be something like Alvin and the Chipmunks or the Smurfs, and I hate those movies. I hate them with a burning passion. I watched them when I was a kid, but, like, I really don't like those movies at all. And then, I was thinking that this was going to be something like that. Sure enough, we heard more information, like, oh, it's going to come out in 2017. Okay. Then it's going to come out in 2018. Okay, now 2019, and in my mind, I'm just, are we going to get this movie or no? And sure enough, around, like, fall or winter of 2018, we get the first, promotional picture for the Sonic movie. And, of course, it was a silhouette of Sonic's movie design at the time. And I just remember just looking at that, just, what is this? This is not Sonic. Like, at all. I just thought it looked really gross. And that was another point where, like, you know, I was, like, really into Sonic, because, like, Sonic Mania, like, Encore Mode, the DLC for that game came out around, like, well, at least in that year. And, you know, just, oh my god, it looked so bad. And then months later, around, like, April of 2019, April 30th, I'm in CAD class, and my friend taps me on the shoulder and says, hey, the trailer for the Sonic movie is out, because he know I like Sonic. So then I didn't believe him, like, is it? I feel like I would have heard something, but, you know, just out of the blues, it just dropped. And then, sure enough, I had to quickly go onto YouTube, and I checked out the trailer. What a trailer. It was so bad, but I actually kind of love it because of how bad it is. Just, oh my, Sonic's horrible design, Gangster's Paradise playing in the background, it was a mess, and I thought that was so goddamn funny. I just remember, I just had this stupid smile on my face, just, this isn't real. This isn't real at all. Yeah. And even, like, I heard, like, leaks from the movie, like, oh, like, there's gonna be a bar fight scene, there's, like, an owl, Jim Carrey's gonna play Eggman, and in my mind, I'm just thinking, what kind of movie is this? And then, you know, the first trailer, it's just, oh my god, this is so bad. And then, yeah, I feel like if they went with that original design, that would have been it. Sonic would have been dead, honestly. And even now, like, they haven't really announced anything, because apparently Sega's all, oh, 2020 is going to be, like, a big year for Sega. And I get that we're in the middle of a pandemic. You know, I understand that, but Sega just picks really bad times to just choose the year of Sonic. But, yeah. But anyway, yeah, so then, like, after the trailer came out, they announced that they were going to redesign Sonic. And there's this big conspiracy thing, like, oh, they intentionally did this, when, no, they didn't, and then they delayed the movie. And then, even with the idea of them redesigning Sonic, I figured that I still have no interest in seeing this movie, like, at all. So then the second trailer comes out, and of course, I'm over here thinking, oh, alright, well, here's Sonic's redesign. And I gotta be honest, like, the redesign, it looks great. I'll talk more about the redesign, but the second trailer itself actually made the movie look like a lot of fun. And at that point, I just saw, like, wow, this actually looks like a good movie now. I still had no interest in seeing it at the time, but I was still like, wow, this is good. I'm glad, like, you know, and even Paramount on their YouTube channel, they made, like, a compilation of people reacting to Sonic's redesign. So it's definitely clear that the people making this movie, you know, they weren't just, alright, let's just make this movie and call it a day. They wanted this movie to succeed, and they listened to fans, and they redesigned Sonic. And I think that is so cool. Like, usually, you know, movies, they're just, oh, if people have a problem with this, then, you know, we're not, that's it. You know, like the movie Cats. I haven't seen it, but I've heard nothing but awful things about it. You know, they're just, you know, this movie, it looks, like, people thinks it looks, like, creepy and, like, you know, not cool, but you know what? They're all just ignorant. Let's just release it anyway. No, Paramount over here is just, alright, people don't like how Sonic looks, so let's fix this. And yeah, so Sonic looks good. And then, you know, a few months later, around January, I see more trailers, and I'm just thinking to myself, actually, like, low-key, I kind of want to watch this movie now. So, sure enough, February 17th, I believe, that's when I went to go see it. I saw it, and at the end of the day, after all this build-up and all this wait, was the movie good? I can safely say, yes, this movie is a lot of fun. I like it a lot. It's not the best movie of all time, but it's definitely, you know, it's still a good movie, and very enjoyable, I find. So, yeah. So, I guess to start, we'll talk about the characters. I gotta be honest, I didn't really care for most of them. The only characters I cared for were Robotnik and Sonic. I think Tom sucks. He reminds me too much of Owen from Jurassic World, and I'm not a big fan of Owen at all, so obviously Tom... Actually, I think he's kind of worse. Like, I'm sorry, Tom, I just think he sucks. Maddie, I just, I didn't really care. Crazy Carl, I mean, he was funny, but, I didn't care. I really just cared about Jim Carrey, because all the other characters, they were there. And then, Jim Carrey as Robotnik, which, let's talk about that really quick. Jim Carrey, he is the best part about this movie. I love Jim Carrey as an actor. Movies like Pet Detective, Mask, or The Mask, I don't know, or whatever. Let's see, Dumb and Dumber, The Grinch. Even though I'm not really the biggest fan of that movie, yeah, no, Jim Carrey, he's a great actor, and I think that, yeah, I think he's great. And, in this movie especially, he is awesome. I love Jim Carrey here. And then, of course, we have Sonic. Sonic is voiced by Ben Schwartz, who is kind of a newer voice actor. He voiced, I don't know a lot about DuckTales. One of the Huey? I know, their names are Huey, Louie, and Dewey, but, I don't know, which one is which, but, yeah, he voices one of those characters in the new DuckTales show. And I just want to say really quick that Ben Schwartz, I think he is easily my second favorite Sonic voice actor. My first favorite, of course, being Ryan Drummond. I feel like Ryan Drummond is the perfect voice for Sonic. After playing Sonic Adventure, and even Sonic Adventure 2, I replayed that recently, and I just really like Sonic's character in that game, and Ryan Drummond does Sonic's character justice. Every other voice actor I'm not really a big fan of. Jaleel White, a lot of these voice actors I didn't mind as a kid, but now as an adult, I'm not really the biggest fan. The Sonic OVA voice actor, I'm not a fan of him. Jason Griffith, that era of Sonic for me was, it's pretty nostalgic, but, I still, now I don't really like Jason. And Roger Craig Smith, I'm sorry, I feel like he is the worst Sonic we've ever had. No question. I have nothing against, Roger as a person. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I just cannot stand his take on Sonic. In fact, Sonic Generations, I hate his voice so much that I actually had to set the game to Japanese, because Sonic's Japanese voice actor sounds a lot like Ryan, but I just cannot stand Roger. Roger is just awful, but yeah, Ryan Drummond, to me, I feel like, as far as games go, it's, different if it's, movies or whatever, but, as far as games go, I feel like Ryan should be the ideal voice for Sonic, Charles Martinet, or, I probably messed up his last name, and I'm so sorry for that, but Charles Martinet, he should always be Mario. Tom Kenny should always be SpongeBob. Frank Welker should always be Scooby-Doo. In my opinion, Ryan Drummond should always be Sonic, because to me, he just fits. But I also really like Ben Schwartz. He does a great Sonic, though I feel like if he had a little more attitude, he would be much better. Because Sonic in this movie, there are times where he doesn't feel like Sonic, where he's just there are times where he's just scared, okay, don't panic. And to me, that's not Sonic. Sonic, to me, he's fast, so, that's why he shouldn't be afraid of anything, because he's fast and he could easily just outrun it, but, instead he's just, okay, don't panic, don't freak out, everything's gonna be okay, and that's not Sonic, I'm sorry. And then you have moments like the bar scene, where, the big, this big guy is, charging towards Sonic, and Sonic, he just, what are you doing? Really? Come on. And that feels like Sonic to me, and even, near the end of the movie, when, Sonic is roasting Eggman. It's just your flying eggs are pretty impressive, but you're never gonna catch me. Again, that feels like Sonic to me. Of course, yeah. Ben Schwartz does a great job of voicing Sonic, and I do like that a lot. Actually, one of the background characters I did like, the same voice actor who voices Grounder from the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon and Robotnik from Sonic Underground. He actually makes an appearance in this movie, and I think that's actually really cool. I actually like him as a voice actor. Actually, when I think of this guy as a voice actor, I can't help but think of his role in a show called Extreme Dinosaurs, which is one of those mid-90s, early 90s TMNT ripoffs. So, yeah. So as far as characters goes, or as far as characters go, I should say, sorry about that, Eggman and Sonic, those were the best characters. And I did like Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, like the Grounder, like his voice actor. I liked him, but everyone else, I definitely could have done without. So, Sonic's redesign, so let's talk about that. As I mentioned, Sonic's original design looked horrendous. Easily one of the worst Sonics ever, no question. And if you say otherwise, I'm sorry. Like, I can't take you. You're probably just messing with me. I just assume you're messing with me, saying that it was the best design of Sonic ever. But yeah, Sonic's redesign now. Sonic's redesign is almost perfect. Everything about it is great, and it's expressive. It looks a lot like the character. There is one thing that I would change. This is gonna sound like such a minor and such like an annoying thing. And the fact that the animators like went out of their way to redesign Sonic, that is like absolutely awesome. So I'm not complaining whatsoever. This is just something that, you know, a little pet peeve of mine. So usually this is gonna sound stupid. Sonic's arms are usually tan, but in this movie they're blue. And it's not the end of the world. I can honestly live with that, you know, but I just feel like he's too blue. You know, I just feel like if he had tan arms, I just feel like that would just look more aesthetically pleasing. Of course, you can't use, like, the model from the games, because, like, you know, the one eye thing, that doesn't really translate well in live action. So I understand why they gave Sonic two eyes, but I just feel like the tan arms, I feel like that would have made the design just a little better, but if that's seriously my only complaint with the redesign, then the redesign is fantastic. So, yeah. Sonic, he looks great, and I like it. The writing, I'm not a fan of the writing here. It's not awful, and there are some funny moments, but it's not like a lot of characters, like, they just keep making jokes, and I'm just like not really the biggest fan. Like Sonic especially, this is like another like main problem I have with the movie. There are like a lot of references to like the internet, which I think is like kind of annoying. I get that this is a movie for kids, you know. This movie is not supposed to cater to people who grew up with Sonic in the 90s or anything like that. This is meant for kids, and that I completely understand and I respect, but some of the things they bring up, it's still like, you know, these like, you know, memes they bring up, they're kind of dead. Sonic at one point says like, oh god, what does he say? He does something that we'll talk about. Believe me, we're going to talk about that. But, like, there's, like, one point where, like, Sonic is, like, fighting one of, like, Robotnik's, like, drones or whatever. And he just says, like, can you believe that Amazon is going to deliver packages with these? And in my mind, I'm just, well, how do you know what Amazon is? You have to spend most of your, you know, life, or had to spend most of your life away, hidden. So, like, how would you know what, like, Amazon is? And he brings up, like, live streaming and all of that. And to me, it's just, like, how would you know what any of that is? Sure, you can make up the excuse that he probably, you know, saw people or heard people talk about it, but it still doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. But, yeah, the writing, like, it's fun, but, like, there are some bits where, yeah, I definitely could have done without. The pacing. The pacing of this movie is kind of trash. The first act is, like, very, like, quick. And not like, you know, in a Sonic way, but like, it goes by way too fast. It starts off with Sonic as a kid, and of course we get introduced to Longclaw, who is another character that, you know, she's in the movie for like 30 seconds and then she's just dead, I guess. So, yeah. There are deleted scenes where there are more like interactions between her and Sonic, which I feel like add more to the story. But of course they had to get rid of a lot of that because, like, you know, they already designed Sonic and so on. But yeah, Longclaw, she's just there, and then like the second Sonic goes into the human world, Earth or whatever, that's like, you know, that's it. That was it for the first act. Now most of the movie is the second act, and then the third act is closer to the end, which is not really good. I feel like, you know, the first act and, like, you know, the second and third act, they should, like, equal out to each other. There shouldn't be, like, a really short first act, a really long second act, and, like, third act really, like, short. I feel like they should all just, like, equal out into, like, one story. So, yeah. So the pacing, not really the best, But again, like, it's not the worst thing ever. So, yeah. The soundtrack for this movie, for the most part, it was just like generic, just, you know, like orchestrals, which honestly I didn't really care for. I have the soundtrack on my phone, but I have just never bothered to listen to it because I was just, I don't really care. But at the opening of the movie, they do play one of Hyper Potion's songs from the opening to Sonic Mania, which I think is a really nice touch. And even like in the end of the movie, there's like a piano cover of like Green Hill Zone. It only lasts for like a few seconds, but I thought that was really cool. Like when that played, I just had like this biggest smile on my face, and that's pretty much like during the whole movie. Like it definitely had its flaws, but through the whole thing, I just had this big smile on my face because this movie's just a lot of fun. So the soundtrack is, you know, for them, it's alright. I like when, like, you know, Hyper Potions, I thought that was a nice touch, and the little, like, Green Hill Zone, like, piano bit, like, near the end, I thought that was really good as well. Again, this is, like, a spoiler review. I don't know if I said this or not, but, oh, well, I don't think I said, oh my god, I am so sorry, for anyone who is coming into this, like, spoiler-free. If you haven't seen the movie yet, I'm so sorry that I forgot to bring this up. But there will be spoilers in this, so I'm sorry for everything. I don't think that, you know, looking at my notes here, I don't think I talked about anything too major to the plot. But, you know, yeah, but there will be spoilers here, and I bring that up because my next point is something pretty major. So, after the credits, there's a scene where another ring appears, and Sonic pretty much uses rings to teleport, which at first I wasn't really the biggest fan of, but now, like, I'm fine with. I think it's alright. But at the end, another ring portal pops up, and then there's just, like, a black figure you see, like, on the other side. And then you just see, just, like, a white and red, like, sneaker, like, two of them, just pop up right in front of you, and it's Tails. So they reveal that, like, Tails, like, he shows up after the credits, and he basically, you know, they're setting up for a sequel, which I'll talk about that after I'm done with, like, you know, my main thoughts on the movie. But, excuse me, yeah, so Tails shows up, and that was great. And it's actually funny, when I went to go see it in the theater, I stayed after the credits, and then I was just, like, sitting there, just, you know, they're gonna have something. And then they announced Tails, and, well, actually, I kind of lied. I did say for the credits, but it was kind of spoiled for me. I knew it was going to happen. But, like, when they showed Tails, like, a lot of the kids in my theater were just, like, getting all excited. Like, yes, it's Tails! And, you know, like, that's something I really like. Like, when I see, like, a kid walk around with, like, I don't know, like a Jurassic Park toy or something like that, or just, like, a Sonic shirt or whatever, you know, like, it just, like, you know, it makes me smile, because, like, I was that kid. Like, when I was, like, that was me when I was 10. Yeah, so then hearing all these kids get excited for Tails, it's like, that hits me emotionally, and I do like that a lot. So, Tails is going to be in the sequel, if they do decide to make one, and if they do, I feel like it has potential, but again, I'll talk about that later on. Deleted scenes, yeah. There are a lot of deleted scenes in this movie that add to the story, and I feel like would have made the story, like, the pacing and everything, and, like, just, like, explaining everything just a little better, because, like, at one point in the movie, Sonic, he talks about Longclaw with Tom, and he never brought up Longclaw to her ever, so he was just, yeah, so Longclaw was wrong, and Tom just, I know who Longclaw is, and, well, he doesn't say that, but he pretends to know, and it's like, what? Like, you know, not who's Longclaw, he doesn't ask that, he just, I understand that. Yeah, it's like, no, like, you don't know who this character is. And then Sonic, like, so this is another big thing in the movie. Whenever Sonic, whenever he gets, like, emotional, like, angry or sad or whatever, he has, like, these, like, huge bursts of energy, and that's, like, what kind of kicks off the story in the first place. And it's not really reflected on. It's later found out in a deleted scene that, like, you know, Sonic, he says that, like, it's hard for him to, like, control those powers because, you know, they only, like, occur when, like, he's feeling emotional. And he doesn't say that in the movie. So when it happens, it's just, you know, it's not explained, is what I'm trying to say. It's only explained in deleted scenes. So, yeah. I get why they, you know, deleted them, though. or deleted those scenes, because, like, they probably already animated Sonic and just figured, eh. Or maybe, like, the redesign, it costed them so much, and the movie just ended up becoming really expensive, so, yeah. Actually, I'll talk about that, later. Other likes and dislikes, just general, just things I liked. So, first we'll talk about dislikes, and let's address the elephant in the room. Sonic flosses. Again, I know this is a movie for kids. You know, this isn't made to cater to any Sonic fans, you know, like, who grew up in the 90s, which, hey, that's understandable, because Sonic is mainly for kids. Not exclusively for kids, but, you know, meant for kids, you know? Like hot dogs, you know, like, usually you're supposed to cook them, but some people just eat them raw. I eat them raw sometimes, so, yeah. So I get that, but, like, nobody really flosses anymore. A lot of big movies do this. A lot of, like, Black Panther did this. They did, like, the "What Are Those" meme from, like, 2015. Because, like, when they're writing the movie, they take, like, a trend at the time, and then, like, ooh, that'll be good for the movie. The kids will like that. But, like, when the movie comes out, like, you know, people are just going to look at that and just think, like, wow, that's dated. Because, like, movies, like, they take a long time to make. It's not just, oh, movie's done. It's more along the lines of just, okay, so we have to animate this, you know, direct this and everything. And it's just like, you know, so when they do stuff like that, and of course Sonic flosses twice, and flossing, like, has been dead for a while now, almost 2 years. The last time I saw someone, like, floss was, like, in 2018, when, like, Fortnite was really popular, and, yeah. So, of course, Sonic flosses. A lot of internet references, like I mentioned previously. There's a character in the movie called Crazy Carl, who has seen Sonic before, but everybody, you know, doesn't believe him. And, like, he draws a picture of Sonic, and the picture he draws is of Sonic. Like, that stupid, like, meme that, like, oh, like, I just hate that so much. Like, Sonic Forces, like, there's, like, DLC for that game where you can buy, like, a shirt with Sonic on it. And it's just, I just think that's stupid. Another thing, like, Sonic flossing, again, you could make up the excuse that, oh, maybe he saw kids doing it, but that doesn't justify it. It's still kind of hard to watch. In my theater, when Sonic flossed, everybody, like, sighed, just like a big sigh. And, yeah, I felt that, but I don't know, I just think that's stupid. Oh my god, there's another scene where, Robotnik, like, they find Sonic, and then, yeah, they find Sonic and, like, Tom and everyone on, like, top of the building, and Sonic, like, just says, okay, who left their Find My Phone on? And, like, how do you know what that is? Like, the writing for the most part, like, I do like, but there are, like, you know, stuff like that, not a big fan of. But once again, like, I do understand that this is a movie for kids, and of course kids are gonna, you know, want to watch this. And I completely, you know, I get that. I've said that a couple times in this video, I get it. But a lot of the things they reference are kind of dead, and again, I hate to sound like a broken record. Movies, like, when they write the story, like, the, you know, the plot or whatever, or, like, the dialogue, they take, like, you know, something that's relevant at the time, and of course movies take time to make. So then, like, once the movie gets released, and they have, like, the "What Are Those" meme, I'm, you know, referencing Black Panther again, it's just like, no! What are you... No! Don't do that! So, yeah. Let's see here. The bar scene, I thought the bar scene was very good. You know, like, Sonic, like, that whole time, like, that felt like Sonic to me. Like, for the most part, like, going back to Ben Schwartz, like, again, he does a great job as portraying Sonic. Again, to me, he's no Ryan, but I still think that Ben Schwartz does an incredible job. I absolutely, like, he does a great job, and I love his take on Sonic. And, like, the bar scene was great, and even the scene where, like, Sonic is, like, destroying, like, you know, Robotnik's robots, like, that is also a really good scene. But, yeah. Potentially, this is definitely me just overlooking things, but there is a reference to the Lost World Jurassic Park in this movie. There's a scene where, like, Robotnik is, like, dancing in his, like, little truck, and there's, like, holograms in the background of, like, certain scenes, like him skiing, and, like, his, like, dancing, kind of like portrays like what's happening in the scene. And then there's a bit where he's running from a holographic T-Rex in a holographic city. Now, again, this could just be me overlooking things. In fact, I can guarantee you it probably is. But a T-Rex running around the city, that's almost like at the end of The Lost World where the T-Rex is running around San Diego. So, yeah, it could have been a jungle, but a city. So, yeah. The T-Rex obviously looks nothing like the one from Jurassic Park, but still. So, again, that could just be me overlooking things, but, yeah. The merchandising for this movie, everything you see here, like the Blu-ray and the Icy Cup that I got when I went to go see the movie, that's it. That's all there is for merchandising. At least stuff that's, like, widely available. There are, like, some plushies that, like, you have to, like, order in, like, bulks. Because they're, like amusement park, like, prizes for, like, the games. Yeah, they're, like, shirts. Like, I don't think there are any shirts. Maybe, like, custom-made shirts. Or, actually, no, that's a lie. The Sega shop, I'm sure, has shirts. Yeah, there's nothing that's widely available. There's nothing that you can, like, walk into a store and just, like, buy. And there's still a good chunk of Sonic stuff. There's, like, a little, like, Sonic playset, but it's, like, the original design. There's, like, a Baby Sonic plush, which, by the way, there's Baby Sonic in this movie. Yeah. There's a Baby Sonic plush that you can get from Amazon for $10, and nothing that's widely available. There's a good chunk of stuff, but, like, there's nothing. There's no, like, traditional, like, action figures or anything like that, and I think that's just a little disappointing. And normally that wouldn't be, like, too much of a problem, but, like, the marketing for this movie is, like, insane. There's, like, cross-promotions with, like, Pizza Hut in other countries. Like, in the UK, they're, like, the really, like, tall buses with, like, the Sonic movie all over it. The posters are just, like, on the side of buildings, and, like, the marketing for this movie, like, it was insane. And you're telling me they couldn't produce, like, you know, a few figures, like, you didn't, like, at least, like, two. Maybe, like, one of Robotnik and one of Sonic. Like, really? I find that hard to believe, but, yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much it for that. What are my hopes for the sequel? Well, right now, nothing is confirmed for a sequel, which would surprise me if there wasn't, because this movie made a lot of money, like $300 million. This is, like, the highest-grossing video game movie ever. But they haven't announced anything. In fact, they announced the third movie for, like, the Angry Birds, like, the third movie to that franchise, before they announced the sequel to this, which is kind of like, I don't get that. Which, by the way, this has nothing to do with Sonic. Admittedly, I actually do like the first Angry Birds movie. It's not great, but I thought it was, alright. The second movie I didn't like as much, but still, alright. So the third movie, I don't know. If it comes on Netflix, then maybe, but yeah, they haven't announced anything, and again, that's surprising to me, because, like, Sega, like, when Sonic Mania came out, they milked that game dry, because, like, it was doing so good. And then now, like, the Sonic movie, it's making a lot of money, or it made a lot of money, and they're doing nothing with it. Sure, Sega had nothing to do with this movie. They just greenlit it, and sure, Tyson Hess did redesign Sonic, but still, like, Sega, I feel like, should be doing something, like, you know, related to the movie. But if they were to make a sequel, what would be my hopes? Again, this is going to seem kind of minor. Tan arms. Again, I said that the blue arms aren't, like, the end of the world. I'm fine with the blue arms, but if they retconned it to give Sonic, like, tan arms, that wouldn't be awful. I could imagine, like, a scene where, like, Sonic is, like, he shows up for the first time in the second movie, like, his, like, introduction scene. And then Tom says something like, so, like, what happened to your arms? Why are they tan? And Sonic just says, like, something like, people kept complaining, so I just changed them to tan. Like, I feel like something like that would be funny. Or if he just, like, was completely oblivious to it, like, why are your arms tan? They've always been tan. What are you talking about? Like, I feel like that'd be funny, but yeah. Again, if they do have blue arms in the sequel, then hey, that is perfectly fine. I don't care. I feel like the story could work out really well, because, like, at the end of the credits, or after the credits, they, you know, show, you know, Tails, of course, as I previously mentioned. Maybe, this is just my idea for the sequel, maybe, like, you know, Sonic comes to, or Tails, he comes to, like, try to find Sonic and tell him that, like, hey, Longclaw is still alive, but she needs your help. So Sonic and Tails go on this big adventure to, like, go save Longclaw. And then Sonic, like, even though, like, Longclaw is still alive, yet he's, like, going through this, like, mindset of, like, should I stay with Donut Lord? Because they call Tom Donut Lord. Like, should I stay with Tom, or should I, live back with Longclaw? He was just like, just what am I going to do? Because, like, kind of like divided on something. I feel like something like that could work. And this is actually something I forgot to bring up about Jim Carrey's Robotnik. Like, at the end of the movie, he gets sent to this mushroom world. And basically, like, it shows him in this mushroom world. And he, like, shaves his head bald, and his mustache, like, the traditional, like, Robotnik, like, mustache, and, like, his glasses, and he's bald. And, like, Jim Carrey, like, at the end of the Sonic movie, looks exactly like classic Robotnik from, like, the old Genesis games. Maybe not one-to-one, but he's definitely a fantastic, like, rendition of, like, a live-action Robotnik, and I think that's great. So, maybe, like, Robotnik can, like, somehow come back, like, to maybe, like, Sonic's world, and, like, maybe he made a deal with, like, the Echidna tribe or whatever. I don't know. That's just my idea for the story. Again, yeah. More attitude from Sonic. I feel like, like, if Sonic had more attitude, I feel like, he'd be great. Because, like, as I said in the movie, he's just like, alright, don't panic, Sonic. Don't panic, Sonic. Like, don't worry. And, like, he's just, like, scared at times. It's like, that's not Sonic. Like, Sonic, to me, as I said, he's not scared of things because, like, he's fast enough to outrun them. Really fast. So, he shouldn't be really scared of anything. So, yeah, more attitude from Sonic would be great. And honestly, less of, like, Tom, Maddie, and, like, all the other characters in this movie. Just less of them. Like, they shouldn't be here at all. Like, again, like, I just think they, like, I'm not a big fan of a lot of these characters. So, like, if it's just, like, a Sonic and Tails, like, adventure where they're just, like, teleporting through worlds trying to look for, like, Longclaw, I feel like that could be, really interesting and, like, really fun. So, yeah. And that's pretty much it. Those are my hopes and dreams for the sequel. Will they happen? Most of them, probably not. Honestly, like, Paramount, even though Transformers Bumblebee was good, they're responsible for most of the live-action Transformers movies, which are garbage, especially The Last Night. I saw that movie in theaters, and I thought, like, wow, this is awful. But, maybe. So, when they do announce the sequel, or if they do, then maybe. I feel like, something like that would be really cool to see. And, like, if done right, like, this is gonna sound so stupid. Maybe we could have sort of like, if they decide to make more movies, maybe we could have, like, a Sonic the Hedgehog cinematic universe. Saying that out loud, it sounds like the stupidest thing ever, but I feel like if done right, I feel like something like that could work. But, yeah. So, if they do announce a sequel, that'd be great, and I would absolutely love that. But if not, which I think they will, but it's just a matter of time. There are a lot of fake, like, ideas for the sequel. I've heard, like, a fake one where, like, Jim Carrey's gonna wear, like, a fat suit, and I heard that, Knuckles, he's gonna be played by Dwayne The Rock Johnson, which I don't feel like he's a good Knuckles. He feels too much like, Dan Green and, like, the other guy who I forget the name of. My favorite Knuckles voice actor, like, if he gets someone that sounds kind of like the Adventure Knuckles, or, like, Adventure 2 Knuckles, I feel like that'd be great. So, yeah. And also, I heard a lot of, Tom Holland, I think that's his last name. I probably messed that up, so I do apologize for that. Someone mentioned that, like, he could play Tails. I personally don't see it. To me, he feels too old. Sonic does talk, of course Sonic talks. Tails does talk after the credits of the movie, so, like, that voice we already have for Tails, I feel like sounds great. So, yeah, but anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it for my hopes for the sequel, and that's pretty much it for this movie review. Again, I am not a movie critic at all, don't take me as that. This is just my general thoughts in the movie. I might have missed some things in this review, so, again, I'm not going out of my way to make this movie look bad or anything, so, yeah, because this movie, it's not bad at all. I really like this movie. I'd give it, like, a 7.5 out of 10. I think that this is a great movie. Again, not perfect, but still good. So, if you haven't seen it yet, well, I'd say see it, and, recommend it to your friends, because it's not bad, but I feel like this movie is a good setup for the sequel, because the sequel, I feel like, has so much potential. So, yeah. Anyway, this movie gets a 7.5 out of 10 from me. Great movie. Check it out. And, yeah. That's pretty much it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. Zack out.